Okay, this is number 2, so welcome back to my kitchen. Any noises that you hear in the surrounding area are my daughter and wife and son, because they've all woken up now. Okay, and the second one that I've been asked to do is a simple one on why AD and AS curves slope the way that they do. So if we take AD curves, here's my high quality visual prop. If we, I always draw these the wrong way around. If we take AD, and then as you know, price level's up there, real GDP is down there, which we'll simply call Y. Let's suppose that the price level is at PL1 to start with, and that AD is at Y1. We're measuring AD along there in the same way as real GDP. Suppose that the price level was to fall to PL2, then what we know is, at least from all the diagrams that you've ever drawn, that AD looks like that. In other words, there is an increase in AD from Y1 to Y2. There's a movement along this demand function, aggregate demand function from A to B. So the question is, why is that? And there are, in economic theory, there are 3 key reasons, of which you really need only to understand a couple for AS level. So firstly, what we can say is that as the price level goes down, there's what's called the real balance, or some people call it the real income effect. The point is that the real value of your assets, especially things like savings, is much higher than it was before. Because the price level is lower, the value of your savings is higher than it was before. Therefore, you have more spending power. Therefore, consumption should rise. So the real balance effect says that a decrease in the price level leads to an increase in consumption. That way. There we go. Secondly, of course, if UK goods and services become cheaper, then on world markets, we're going to be able to sell more things abroad. And the key thing here is to remember that aggregate demand, the total demand for UK firms' goods and services, is not just consumption. It's C plus I plus G plus X minus N. So secondly, what we can say is that a decrease in the price level is likely to lead to an increase in exports as well. So, firstly, the real balance effect means that consumption is rising. Secondly, the trade effect, or whatever, exchange rate effect, the trade effect means that exports are going to rise. So therefore, taken as a whole, a reduction in the price level leads to an increase in aggregate demand, a movement along, in this case, because it's a reduction in the price level. If we turn to aggregate supply, why that is the slope that it is, then again, what we know is that this isn't a great pen, but I can't be bothered to go and get another one. What we know is that there is a maximum potential output for the economy at this, with the resources the economy has at any given moment in time. And we know that as aggregate demand rises, what's going to happen is that we're going to approach full employment. So ED rises from AD1 to AD2. So suppose initially we were here at PL1, Y1. There's a big output gap. We're quite a long way from full employment. Therefore, as aggregate demand rises, there's no particular upward pressure on inflation. And the reason is twofold. Firstly, in factor markets, there's no shortage of labour and there's no shortage of land. Therefore, there's no upward pressure on wages, there's no upward pressure on rent, therefore there's no upward pressure on firms' costs, therefore there's no upward pressure on inflation. And secondly, you don't have many customers. The economy is still a long way away from full employment. There's very high levels of competition between firms, because aggregate demand is so low. So therefore it's very difficult for you to put your prices up. So therefore we can move happily from there to there. As we approach full employment, aggregate demand rises to AD3, and then AD4, and then AD5. Of course, what starts to happen is that although GDP rises, it becomes much more difficult to meet the increase in demand. We're going to start running short of workers, we're going to start running short of land, and as a result, even though GDP rises, business costs start to rise. Because take a restaurant, they're going to start running short of waiting staff, and therefore to retain their waiting staff or to attract new ones, they're going to have to increase wages. In the centre of towns, rents are going to be rising because the central business district, bless you, is becoming overused. And likewise, as we approach full employment, what that means is that businesses have more and more customers than they did before. Therefore, it's getting easier and easier for firms to increase their prices. Until finally, once we reach full employment, obviously it's impossible to meet any further increase in aggregate demand, and the impact is purely inflationary. So as we approach full employment, gradually we start to get upward pressure on the price level until we reach full employment, when any further increase in aggregate demand is purely inflationary. And that's why aggregate supply takes the shape that it does.